Today I'll be commenting on Neville Goddard's 1969 lecture, Reconciliation. And while I do, please enjoy an Indian restaurant in the heart of Mount Fuji land. I can't say it's my most favorite Indian restaurant, but nevertheless, I'm happy for a new eating experience. In this lecture, it may be controversial for some people, because Neville's pointing that in a sense, you are God. God being a consciousness that fell asleep and dreamed, the dream of life. It may seem absurd to some people, but every night people go to sleep and they dream of a world as real as here, and they feel completely real as a character in the dream. And yet they awake, where did the dream go? It dissolved back into their consciousness. And so looking at it from this mystical point of view, Neville then realizes that everything is symbolic. Even the people in your life, humans, all symbolic, and one day will all dissolve back into your own consciousness of the dreamer of the dream of life. But the nature of what the word God points to, what is this consciousness? Neville had the experience of what he calls the promise, in a sense permanently spiritually awakening, and he awoke to love. Neville says, he is love which is indescribable. I know what it is like to love a child, my wife, my family, and friends. But I cannot describe the feeling that possessed me when I stood in the presence of infinite love and felt his embrace. At that moment of incorporation, I knew myself to be love, and although others cannot see it, I wear the body of love. And Neville goes on to say we will all have this mystical experience, until all the fragments of the great, vast consciousness beyond words. The world is but a shadow containing symbols. An earthly father is but a symbol of our heavenly Father. Remember, when you go to bed at night and have a dream and you see people in your dreams, was it really that person? Even though it felt completely real while you were in the dream, in the end it was symbolic, reflected from your consciousness. And Neville goes on, when one spiritually awakes and has identified with their true nature, he says, when one wears the body of love, he is incapable of doing anything save in love, and therefore everything in his presence is harmless. For perfect love casts out all fear. In this world, we fear the wild beasts of the jungle, but when one is clothed in love, nothing can harm him. And with this, we can take comfort in Neville's words. We often get lost in the dream and start fighting shadows, but we can dissipate all that by coming to know what we are. And Neville continues on. How you as God create and sustain the universe if you only knew. In essence, if you only woke from the dream of life, if you only saw the power of imagination. Neville goes on, and when all his sons have returned, this outer world will come to its end. The universe will not take time to dissolve, it will simply vanish. Let our scientists speculate as to its age, it doesn't really matter. The world, including the sun and moon, came into being as one grand explosion. They all came together for a purpose, and the only little place that could house God's grand experiment, which is a stage, is this earth that we are on. All of God's sons are here, and they will all return to the very being out of which they came, which is God the Father. In closing, Neville says, you are infinitely great, and you are moving towards the discovery of this truth. We came out of a garden, and we will return to a garden. But when we do, we are fully conscious of being love. So adding to Neville's words, we don't realize we're dreaming the dream of life, but we can wake and nobly dream and stay conscious and never fall into nightmares fighting shadows, but to dwell in a most profound eternal love, forever and forever and forever. Now let us go into the silence as a great love beyond all loves. Good.